Hey guys, what's going on? Today I'll be doing Hamlet Act 1, Scene 2 in detail. So what happens is that Claudius, the current king, begins by justifying his recent marriage to Gertrude, very important, the queen and widow of his brother, the deceased King Hamlet. He states that the memory of the king's death is still raw, basically trying to say green, and that the country was rightly filled with sorrow at his passing. Claudius stresses that he and Gertrude felt mixed emotions when they wed. The question that everybody always asks, was Gertrude and Claudius, were they together or did she cheat on her late husband with Claudius because he calls her incestuous? You'll see what I mean in a bit. He says that they felt joy and love for one another, but also sorrow for the deceased king. Very weird. Now, he thanks his subjects for supporting him in his decision to marry Gertrude, and the second part of Claudius' speech concerns the bellicose activities of Fortinbras. Claudius informs the court of Fortinbras' military preparations, and Fortinbras wants Denmark to return the lands lost by his father many years ago. This is what the problem is at the beginning. He thinks that Denmark is in a weakened state because of the death of the king, Claudius. Well, not really Claudius, the old king, Hamlet. Claudius plans to send messengers to the elderly king of Norway, Fortinbras' uncle, informing him of Fortinbras' aggressive behavior, and Claudius hopes that the king will call a halt to the military buildup. Now, Laertes says that he has done his duty in attending the king's coronation and asks the king's permission to return to France to his studies. And Claudius confers with Laertes' father Polonius and agrees, which is very important because it just doesn't tell him to, just go, but he talks to his father first and then instructs him that he could go. Claudius then turns to his nephew, Prince Hamlet. He addresses him as my cousin Hamlet, which is very weird, and my son as well. Now, this suggests his complex relationship to the prince, who is his natural nephew, stepson by marriage, and heir to the throne. Hamlet has been behaving in a very mournful manner. Both Claudius and Gertrude urge him to cheer up and put his grief for his father behind him. Now Gertrude says that his death, or that death, is an everyday occurrence and a natural part of life, and that basically Hamlet shouldn't be worrying or sobbing so much over the death of his father. And Claudius tells him that the loss of a father is a very common experience and one shouldn't grieve too long, and that doing so is unmanly. Wow. So Hamlet's replies, how he responds, suggests the resentment he feels towards his mother and her new husband. And when Gertrude asks him why he seems so grief-stricken, Hamlet's reply is very much aggressive. He says, "Seems, madam, nay, it is, I know not seems." Hamlet suggests that his feelings of grief are real, while those of Gertrude and Claudius are only a public show of mourning, which is very important. Now, furthermore, Claudius asks Hamlet to consider him his father and declares him heir to the throne, trying to keep Hamlet on the low here and gain his heart, but that's not gonna fall, he's not gonna fall for that. Claudius and Gertrude ask Hamlet to remain at court instead of returning to university, and Hamlet curtly agrees. Now Hamlet is left alone, and this is where he starts speaking a soliloquy. He has been experiencing suicidal thoughts and wishes that God hadn't declared suicide a sin, just because he just wants to kill himself. To him now, life is just pointless, empty, meaningless. He regards the world with disgust and contempt, viewing it as an unweeded garden populated by foul beings. Things rank and gross in nature possess it merely. This is a quote. Hamlet is distraught at his mother's marriage to Claudius, and he feels that his mother married much too soon after his father's death. Of course she did. Not even 2 months have passed. He can hardly believe that she remarried only a month after her husband's funeral, and Hamlet considers that his hasty remarriage is an insult to the love of his father or his mother. He regards Claudius as vastly inferior to his father, and this is very important. He says, my father's brother, but no more like my father than I to Hercules. So he's saying my father is like Hercules, or no, it's like he's saying my father is so much greater than him, just like Hercules is to me. He seems particularly horrified that Gertrude has married his uncle, and he calls their union incestuous. There's a sense in which Hamlet regards his mother as almost animalistic for going through with this hasty marriage. In doing so, she acted like a beast, being guided by passion and instinct rather than by her reason. He says, a beast that wants discourse of reason would have mourned longer. Her marriage seems to have affected his views of women in general, because even later on in the play he starts mistreating the woman he loves, Ophelia, and a lot of other things that I want to spoil for you right now if you haven't read it or watched the play already. So he sees them as weak. He sees women as weak and vulnerable in the face of lust and temptation. And he says, frailty, thy name is woman. So Horatio, Marcellus, and Bernardo come to tell Hamlet of their encounter with the ghost, and Horatio tells Hamlet that the ghost resembles his father. He says that he spoke to the ghost, who looked as if it was going to reply, only to be interrupted by the cocks crowing. And again, I bring you back to the memory of Act 1, Scene 1, of how he disappeared upon sunrise, which is very important for symbolism and deeper meaning of sunrise ghosts. Does it have anything to do with it? Do your research. Hamlet says that he will watch with them that very night in the hope that the ghost will speak to him. He asks Horatio and the guards to remain silent about what they have seen, and arranges to meet them on a sentry platform before midnight. As they leave, Hamlet expresses his foreboding, and he says, my father's spirit in arms, all is not well, I doubt some foul play. So this is very important for Act 1, Scene 2. Guys, if you have any questions, let me know or put them down in the comments below. Thank you very much and have a good day.